So project one is a short sequence for a fictitious TV show. And then create a short animated shapes layer. If you've been doing the assignments week to week, you probably got these done already. So we should be two projects in. And we'll start the third one, just the video bumper or intro or outro for sports entertainment. I'm just going to copy these and set them in here so I remember where they are. Thought I had done this, but I guess not. Ooh, that's not very good. Okay, I'll make it look pretty later. All right. Today we have week 7. So there's animating a presentation with the balloon project, and then there's chapter 6 animating layers. And those are for you to do on your own because they're PDF files and everything else. And today we're going to do the cowboy walk, which is really cute. And I have a PDF file. It's based on Mark Rise's tutorial, but he used something called Rubber Hose, which is a $70 plugin. So I just recreated it without the plugin. So you guys won't have to buy anything. And then I have a little mastering the value in speed graphs. We're going to talk about the speed graph when we get to the animated fish on Wednesday. And we do that. Um, and this just kind of goes through what it is in different use cases, in different ways to find information about it. And then I have another article here called Mastering the Speed Graph. So there are two things. You'll see more when we get into the speed graph stuff in the next class with the fish. So right now we will do the cowboy. So I downloaded the PDF and I did have, I'll show you what it looks like at the end because it's fun. So here we go. It looks like that. Pretty cute. So that's what we'll be working on today. All right. So let's get this party started. So I'm going to just boot up After Effects and I'll just go to the interface. And I want to import the uh, Illustrator file. So if we look at that, you will see everything is pretty much on its own layers, and all the layers are going to import into After Effects. So we have the gun. Where is he? We have the gun, we have the face, we have the hat line, got the body, the ears. Anything you want to animate should be on its own layer. So that's what's inside there. And then, when we're done, I encourage you to do this is a real simple character. Notice there's no outlines. Outlines would make animation a lot harder, so I'd recommend you not use it, but just you can just animate shapes and things like that. So I'm going to take this Illustrator file and just drag it over to the composition. This is the important part. You want to open it as a composition and you want each thing to be the layer size, not the document size. You click OK, and then we can open up the composition it just created, and there's our cowboy, and these are all the layers that we have from Illustrator. If you open it up the composition side, you'll just see this huge bounding box. So I also want to point out that the anchor point is always in the center of the screen when it first opened up. So we're going to be moving it in a few instances. All right, so we got buttons here called a shy button, and it kind of looks like a little guy with his nose hanging over the fence. So what we can do here is hit the shy button, and that's going to hide things in our timeline so we don't get confused. So what I can do is click on this shy button, and the little face goes underneath the wall. You can't really see it there, but it looks like that. And then I want to do the back, arms, and legs. And we'll shy the background layer. Now to unshy something, because I forgot to do it, you click this, and then you can see, oh, I don't want these to be shied. So we could, just hide stuff so it's easier to work on. But it only hides it in the timeline. You notice that on the stage, everything is still visible. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the front arm and leg, which is on its own layer, and the back arm and leg, which is on its own layer, and hit the T button for transparency, but it says opacity. Set it about 30% because we're going to recreate those inside of After Effects. And now I can shy those to get them out of the way for now. All right, so now all we have left is the gun, the face, the horizontal line, and the shadow. So I'm going to actually shy the shadow here too. Okay, now we want to create markers on our timeline. So if I hit Command K, it goes to the composition settings, and I have it set to 70 frames. I could actually just do like 60 because we're not, we're going to be looping it over and over again. So what I want to do here is set up a new marker, go to frame 30. So I'll just click on it. Now, if you have the time code showing, hold on the command key and click and you'll get the frames. And that way I can just click on it and type it in and it goes to frame 30. That's real easy to do. You can just hold on the command key and toggle back and forth between the time code and the frame count. So now I'm going to drag a little tiny marker over here. I'm going to double click on it and I can call it left. And well, in the last class, if you paid attention, I was doing the bouncing ball tutorial. I said, in the video that animation is really mechanical. It's not, it's not like you would think where it's free form, it's really take planning out. So, all right. So we're going to move this to frame 50 by clicking and typing in 50 and now it goes to 50. I'm going to drag another one out and double click and also call this one left because these are going to be the exact same pose so that when they loop, it can loop. And we're going to actually deduct a frame because if we don't, you have the start and the end frame twice in a row and it looks like a pause. So we actually move the work area back to frame 49 when we get that far. All right, now we're going to move the playhead to frame 40, drag out another little marker here. We'll call that right. And we're doing the markers first because I'm going to make a pre-comp of the body so we can just animate the pre-comp. And that is going to have the markers in the exact same spot. So everything in After Effects, when you create nested timelines, all the markers and everything usually transfer with it, and they usually are synced together because otherwise you wouldn't be able to do what you need to do. So now I'm going to go to frame 35, pull out a marker called 1, and we'll go to frame 45 and I'll set out a marker called 2. And that sets up our timeline. So I can grab this little work area here and I'm going to just move it over to frame 49 and come over here and grab it. It's kind of hard to grab it. We're going to just do that one loop. And in fact, this one here, I should move it back one frame here, not the marker, but the playhead, the frame 49, so that frame 50 doesn't loop over and over again. So now if I play it, you're not going to see anything but it loops in that one spot. So now we're going to start animating. All right, so I'm going to shift click on all these here. Everything else that's going to stay is hidden. It's shied. They call it shying. Hiding, I guess, would be turning off the eyeballs, but we don't want to do that. So I'm going to right click on these frames, multiple layers here, and I'm going to choose pre-compose, and I'm going to call this body. And now I have the body in its own composition. So I'm going to double click on that to open it, and we're going to animate the body. Now the background wasn't part of the thing we just nested, so you don't have a background on this. So it should be transparent anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, so what we're going to do is animate the gun. Kind of And when I blow this up, you notice that the point is in the center. So if I were to hit the R to rotate it, it would spin around the center. So I grab the pan behind tool, which kind of looks like a box. I'm going to move the rotation point up to this little handle here. And now when I rotate it, it's going to swing around that. And you'll be moving anchor points a lot when you animate characters. Okay, so now I'm going to shift click on gun, face, and H line, the hat line, which is up here. And I'm going to hit the P key so we see their positions. I'm going to go move to the right marker because where the markers are, that's where we're going to add our keyframe. So I'm going to add a keyframe there. And I'm just going to use the arrow key and I'm going to move the position of all these things over 8 pixels. So it's 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it moved on the screen. All right, now I'm going to go over to the left and move it to the left. Now 16 pixels. So we go back to the start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we move another 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to copy those. And then I'm going to go to the second left frame and paste it. And I'm going to move this out. Well, no, I'm not. We can loop it. Oops. See, now you got that rocking motion back and forth. All right, now we want to show the gun because we're going to have the gun swinging based on him walking. So we're going to do the rotation property. And you can hold on the shift key if you want to see both of them. The rotation property will set a keyframe at the right position. I'll make it +10. And then we'll move to the left marker. And I'll set this to a -10. And we'll copy that frame and we'll move the playhead over to the last left frame and I'll paste it. So now if we play it, you can see there's a little bit of rocking with the gun holster. Okay, you can collapse everything. I hit the space bar to stop the playhead by hitting the U key, and I remember it by the Uber key. And it just kind of shows you if you hit it, close everything down, and you hit it again, it just shows you the lines where there are keyframes. Otherwise, everything stays collapsed. If you hit it twice in a row, it shows you all the things on all the layers. So that's nice to have so you don't have such a huge um, collection of keyframes showing. And I'm going to grab all these with my arrow tool, right click, and I'm going to choose Keyframe Assistant Easy Ease. And now it'll ease in and out of that position as he's rocking back and forth. All right, now we're going to animate the ears. So I can close these guys up because I don't really need them. Make sure I'm on my arrow key. So here the ears are, and I'm going to click on the position. And on the left one, I'm going to add a keyframe. And I'm going to move the ears to the right. Well, actually, let's do this. I'll put a keyframe here. And I'll put a keyframe. Well, we'll copy and paste that one. So this one here, on the left marker, I'm going to move the ears to the right. So I'll just hold on my arrow key, move it like that. And then over here, I move it to the left. I accidentally had both arrow keys, or both keyframes selected. And then I can copy this and paste it in the last spot. So now if we play it, you can see his head looks like it's turning because his ears are moving. All right. Now we're going to easy ease the ears. Select easy ease. You can see it's adding life to it. All right, now we're going to add a bend to the torso. So to do that, we're going to close off the body. And I'm going to go to this layer here and make sure the body is selected. And we're going to choose effects. And we're going to choose distort. bend, CC bend it. And it put two little points that are very barely visible there, but we want to move those. So I'm going to move this bottom one up to the crotch, and we want to move the top one up to the top of the page. And then what we're going to do is go to the left marker here, and I can twirl open and twirl open the effects, and I can twirl open CC bend it, and I can add a keyframe at the bend. And I'm going to set it to a -10. And then I'm going to go to the right keyframe. I'll add another bend it keyframe there. And this one will go to +10. And then I'll copy the left frame and come over here and paste it. So now if we play it, you can see it's bending back and forth. This hat's moving, everything's moving. So you can get that rubber hose effect that you can, and we'll easy use those guys too. Easy ease everything right now. Okay, so now we have the ease in and the ease out. All right, now we're going to recreate the arms and legs with splines. You could buy a $70 plugin and have it do what I'm about to do a lot easier, but you know, it's $70. So we're just going to close this off, and I'm going to unshy so I can see the arms and the legs. And close this off, and then I'm going to unshy those because remember they're transparent right now. And then I'm going to grab the shadow and the background. I'm going to shy them again. So we don't have the only thing we have in here are the front legs and front arms. We're actually just going to build the front leg and the front arm and then duplicate it for the back leg and the back arm so that things go in there. Now zoom in, and I'm going to click off, make sure nothing's selected. Select my pen tool, kind of click where his shoulder is going to be. Now the shoulder is going to attach here, and click and drag because I want those Bezier points. If I don't click and drag, I'll just have a line segment, but I want to be able to bend the arm. Okay, so that's why I added the anchor points by clicking and dragging. Now I can take this, and if you click, you'll be able to grab the points. So kind of put it right about there. Kind of move that down a little bit. And what we can do here now, it's set up from last night. So what you can do is set the stroke color. I just grabbed the hat color so that or a shirt color so that matches. And then he set the length to 23 pixels because I did it practicing last night. It's already 23, but you may have to adjust that. All right, so now I can hit the return key and I call this one right leg. You know, I drew it in the wrong spot, so it should be the right leg, not the right arm. So let me move this. Oop, let me just move it down here. And then to grab it, you click on this, shift click. You actually got to open up the path. So there's contents, shape one, path, and now you can shift click and you can grab it. You can bend it. So I'm going to bend this down here, kind of make this straight like that. And then you can grab both points and you can move the whole thing over right about there. Okay, we're going to move the leg behind the body so you won't see the holster will be in front of it. All right, now we want to take the anchor point, and where's the anchor point? It's usually in the center. There it is. It's in the center of that screen when I drew it. So I'm going to move it there because that's where the hip would join. And we can move this down to the bottom of the stack. I'll put it behind the body, but I'll leave it in front of the arms and the legs, or the illustrator arms and legs. All right, this gets kind of squirrely because you got to think of shapes that you create inside of After Effects, the main layer is actually a container, and you can have nested shapes within it as many as you want. It's kind of a weird concept to get it. But what we're going to do is we're going to stack two line segments on top of each other. We're going to trim one down so it looks like his boot is there. Now, notice that this is very geometric, so he doesn't really, his boot is just a rectangle. So we're going to duplicate this shape right now. And then I'm going to rename um, shape one to boots. So it's underneath our boot. And I'm going to rename shape two to pants. All right, so we actually have two line segments that are stacked right on top of each other. So what we want to do is obviously change the color of the boot. So I'm going to twirl that open, and then you have a path and you have a stroke. So the path is actually the Bezier line, and then the stroke goes around us. So we're going to do, remember we added 23 pixels to our stroke. So I'm going to come out here, I'm going to grab this eyedropper next to the color chip, and I'm going to change the boot color to the belt color. There we go. Now, because they're stacked on top of each other, you can't see them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to trim the pants. So I grab the pants layer, click and add, and say trim paths. And that's going to give me a new thing in the path one, trim paths. And we're going to set the end to be 68%. And that's going to make the pants, which is lying on top of the boot light line segment. The boot line segment goes all the way up to the top. But for right now, it's hidden underneath the other one, so it looks like he's wearing a boot. Okay, so this part here you got to practice on because it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. But I'm going to throw both these open so I can see the path properties of both of these. Okay, and I'm going to option click to activate the code editor on pants path. Pants path two. Actually, they're both named path one, so I got to correct my slide there because that would be incorrect. But to do that, here's the path. To activate the code editor, so you can use JavaScript inside of After Effects. That's the coding language in there. But if you don't know JavaScript, you can rely on pre-built scripts. And in fact, now you can actually have GPT generate scripts for you if you decide what you want to do. So you don't have to know JavaScript anymore. But I'm going to hold on my option key and option click on that, and that's going to give me this little tiny little chunk of JavaScript. And we don't really care what it says because what we're going to do instead is we're going to use this. This is called a pick whip. And we're picking out the path we want it to follow along. So what I'm going to do is grab it. It's like a rubber band tool. I'm going to drag it right over the boot path. Now, first I got to open up the boot path. All right, now I can grab this path here and pick whip and drag it there. And now it says the content of the boot matches the content of path one. And it'll just, no matter what we do, both stacked layers will be on top of each other. So let me try and demo that. So I'm going to grab the path of the pants. Let's actually grab the path of the boot. Grab my selection tool, click on this, and see now both, you can kind of see at some points, you can see the black stroke underneath the brown stroke, especially along the edges, but now both of them follow. So when we swing this foot back and forth to do the walk, the pants are going to follow the boot. So that's basically what we just did. And we did it with JavaScript. So otherwise you'd have to it'd be impossible to do it any other ways. So that's going to be a brand new concept that's going to be a little bit tricky. So practice it until it makes sense to you is really all I can tell you. All right. So now what we're going to do here is Gonna open up the path, the boot. And path number one, I want to rename, if it lets me, to right boot path. So that's the Bezier path. Okay. And now we control this closed and we can duplicate it. And I'm going to move this one underneath here and I'm going to rename it to left leg. And it's stage left. It's not his left, which is kind of weird, but I'm going to open up the position and drag this over right about there. And then there's a couple of things I want to do is open up the contents in the boot. And here we just named this right boot path. I want to rename this to left boot path. All right. And then what I want to do is I want to change the color of the pants. So I'm going to open up the pants, open up the stroke, click on the eyedropper, and we will color it the same color as the hat band. So now that gives a little bit of a shadow effect. So you can tell that's the back leg. And we are done with the legs for now until we animate them. Okay. The next thing I want to do is create the arms. So I'll go back to the body tab and undo what I did earlier. I'm just going to zoom in here. Hold on my space bar to move it. Grab my pen tool. I just click once where shoulder joint is and click down. And what did I do? I screwed it up. Make sure nothing's selected. Shift Command A. And yeah, that if you have a layer select, you start drawing with the pen tool, you're actually creating a mask. You're not creating a spline. So there we go. Now, I just did the same mistake. So undo that, click and drag, and then click and drag again. So now we can bend the arms. They're rubber bandy. Okay, now I'm going to take the pan behind tool, zoom out to find out where the heck that is. There it is. And I want to move this down to the shoulder joint right there. Okay, and a double click or hit the return key. We call this one right arm. And now we're going to open up the spline of the right arm. Shape one. You got a stroke. So it's already the right color. So what I can do here is path number one. Let's see, shape number one. I'll change this to sleeve. And then we'll duplicate the sleeve layer. And I'll rename this one to hand. And now I can twirl open the hand layer and I can change the color of the stroke. So I can color it to the face color. And then we're going to, instead of butt caps, we're going to give it round caps if you remember Illustrator. And then we're going to trim the path. So choose up here, choose the hand, add trim paths. And then we're going to set the start to be 93. You can actually animate this by changing, you know, where it is. So now I have a little tiny oval that represents his hand at the end of his arm. And then what we want to do is have the thing follow along again. So let's see here. Here's the hand path. So I open up the path so I can see this path. And then I can open up the sleeve path so I can see this path. And then I'm going to option click the stopwatch on the first path here and take the pick whip and drag it down to the path of the sleeve. So now when I move the sleeve or the hand, everything moves together again. And we can close this all up. See, so now I should be able to take the sleeve path, And I should be able to just grab it with the anchor tool, bend it. A rubber band. See, in the early days of animation, because the schedules were so tight and they weren't getting paid a lot, instead of moving the character over just an object across the room, they would just stretch the arm out to grab the object and pull it back. Then they made a video game called Cuphead, which kind of emulates the rubber hose of the 1920s and 30s animation style, and actually went into the 40s too. Disney was the only one that decided everything had to be real, except obviously for Mickey Mouse cartoons because they had to churn those out because that was the bread and butter. That's what kept the studio alive. And then when they made the first movie, Snow White, then they try to make things more realistic. And they got it perfected with the movie Pinocchio. They could have done anything, but then two things happened. One was a strike because people were being paid peanuts and unions were coming across the country, so they formed a union. And secondly, World War II happened and kind of destroyed that golden age of animation. All right, so what we're going to do now is duplicate the right arm, rename it to the left arm, and then I can open up the position here, slide it over to the other shoulder, and I can move it down behind um, the bottom. Actually, everything it should be the lowest thing. And then I can delete the two illustration layers. So now you can't see it, it's hidden by the body, but we're going to animate it. All right. Now we're going to parent the left arm right here. There's a little parent tag. We're going to parent that to the body. We're going to parent the right leg to the body. We're going to parent the right arm to the body and our right leg and then the right arm. So now if I move the body, everything's going to go with it. See that? So parenting attaches one layer to a different layer. You move the parent layer around, the child layer is going to move with the parent layer. All right, now we're going to start animating. All right, so I'm going to open up um, open up position property of the body and move the marker to marker 1. And I'll hit the P and we're going to add a keyframe here. And then I'm going to put the playhead there and add another keyframe. And then we're going to move the playhead to the left marker, keyframe that, copy that one, and paste it at the left marker here. And move the playhead back to the left marker. Let's see, we're going to move the playhead the second one. Okay, move the playhead to the right marker. Okay, and paste it again. And we got to start moving these up and down, except I don't remember. So let's see here. We have it. Can't remember if it's the up position or the down position because my PDF doesn't tell me. So hold on a second. I think we do it here. Move it up. And move this one up. Now he dances. F48. Okay, so this one should be moved up, so I have it here. I might have that backwards. I'm gonna do this. Sorry about that. I did it last night, thinking about it, and now I'm like looking through it and going, oh, okay. Let's change this to 561. So if you do the PDF, just make sure you look at the screen captures because they have the numbers in them. And this one should probably be 561 too. And then copy this one and paste it over here. So now he dances if you scrub, see. So this goes down, this goes up. This one should actually go to 561 too. Oops. Okay. There we go. Now he's dancing. A little chunky at the end there. And yeah, so you'll go up and down now. That should be 540. This should be 561. No, that's why it's just 561. That one's just not cooperating. There we go. Now I can play it. See, two frames are repeating, so that's why we're getting that little pause in there. There we go. That's better. So if you have a pause, that means something's repeating, some keyframe. I'm going to select all these and easy ease them. Whoops. Show you again. All right. Just move that back to frame 49. There we go. All right. Now, what we're going to do here is twirl open the left leg, boot, path, click on that. Make sure it's at the first left frame and click, and then I hit the U key, and all I see is that one item with the uh, keyframe on it. And then I can grab this one, shift click on it, and I can bend this up. You can add more bend to the leg if you want to, or less bend. Kind of give them a weird looking. And this little really light tan is the ground. So just kind of put the boots on the ground. And then we'll move this over to the right. And I'll slide this one all the way back. And I'll copy this keyframe and I'll paste it over here. And we could do the same thing with the right leg now. So I'll open this up, put the path here, move to the first left lane, click, and hit the U key. And the first one, I will move this, grab that tool, make sure I shift click on it and move this one back. Kind of straighten out his leg. And then we'll move this to the right, add another keyframe, shift click on that, move this one to the right. And I'll copy this one and paste it to the last frame. So now he does this. All right, now we're going to go to marker 2 and the left leg. I'm sorry, the right leg. We want to move the right, this one up. We want to move up. Maybe put a little bit of a curve in it like that. And then this leg here, and move that down to the ground. And then we go over to marker one and we do the opposite. This one here will be curved up. And then this one will be down to the ground. So now it does that. Pretty cool. All right, now we want to animate the arms. Well, first I'm going to grab all these and easy ease them. All right. We will select, oh, we're going to change the tension too. So I shift collected and I hold on a shift key and grab these two so that's the markers one and two. And we're going to change the keyframe velocity. So we go animation, keyframe velocity, and for this tutorial, you do 66. That is going to just affect the timing and the spacing, or actually the spacing. It slows it down. So now if I play it, it's just got a little bit of a weird gait to it. You can mess around with those numbers and change how the walk looks. All right, now we're going to animate the arms. So I twirl these guys up here, and we will do the right arm, open that up. I got the sleeve path here. Go to frame one and add a keyframe and hit the U key so that everything else collapses. And we'll bend this arm forward. And then on the right frame, we will bend it back. And more of a curve. I don't care if that little square is there. And you can kind of see that one darker path for some reason is there. Don't like that. Copy this one here and paste it at the last frame. Now he does this. Then we can go to marker number one. So it moves in a triangular pan. The hand moves in a triangle motion and just kind of grab that last one and just kind of slide it down. And you can grab all these and easy use them. So now it does that. Pretty cool. Now I gotta do the left arm. So, twirl this open. Actually hit the U key, twirl this open, contents to do the sleeve and the path in the sleeve. Click on that, go to left marker, add a keyframe, and then hit the U key so only that's showing. And in the left hand, we're going to bend this forward. So shift click on that, move this over here. Now, one of the things I forgot to do before, I'll do it last, is change the color of the sleeve so it matches the pant leg. So it looks like it's behind them. That's what I forgot to do that, but we'll do that in a second. Let's see here. Now first, actually, you're going to move the arm back at the left frame. Let me just copy this and paste it at the right because that's actually the right position. And over here, I'll bend the arm back. I don't know what this one's doing there, but copy this one, move it to the last frame, paste it. And then we can go back over here. We can adjust this point so it moves in a triangle. So now if we do it, The walk is done. So we finished that. The only thing I want to do is, like I say, change the color. So I'll trail it up, go over the sleeve, color, stroke, grab the eyedropper and make it the same color as this paneling. So that now it matches. Now it looks like it's behind. And there you go. You got a cowboy walking, which is a lot of fun. Now we want to animate the shadow underneath them. Stop it. Okay, I'm going to unshy this. The background I can just lock because that doesn't matter. And I'm going to change the size of this. So I hit the scale button and I want to uncheck the right and left positions. So I'm just going to create a scale frame at the left keyframe, copy it and paste it at the other left, go to the right, add a new keyframe there, and reduce the width of it down to about 73%. So now when he's walking, the shadow grows and chains with his hat hitting the sun. That's a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna just save this demo walk. There's already a demo walk in there. You can open up to look at it if you want to. And then I want to create a Dropbox for you so you can spend the rest of the time animating this, and then you can put it in the Dropbox when you're done. So you do cartoon cowboy walk. And I'll make it do Sunday night, give you 100 points, give you as many attempts as you want to. And there you go. So now it's inside of week 7. Suppose I should have moved it to the drop boxes. Yeah, I should move it to the drop boxes. So any questions while I'm doing this from anybody or comments? Anybody? Anybody all? Okay, I'm moving it to the Dropbox. Now it should be in the Dropbox. And it is. Okay, cool. So I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording.